Lately, Ruby's training has consisted of agility training like the jumps and weave pulls, as well as her obedience training, just to try to make my life a bit easier. She's still a little trepidatious about getting into the car. It takes a lot of luring and a lot of baiting, and so as you can see here, although Willa's plenty happy to sit in the front seat and wait for Ruby to come up, Ruby takes a little bit of extra coaxing.
Yes, good girl. Yeah, see? How easy is that? All right.
She's a sweet girl, and she's very gentle,
good girl.
and although she may be a bulldozer in the backyard, when it comes to jumping in the truck, she's just really, really cautious. Of course, every once in a while, Willa sneaks in and grabs one of the treats.
Stay there.
We try to keep it unstressful, but if you listen carefully,
You just pooted.
every once in a while, Ruby has a little outburst.
One last try.
She does eventually get it, though,
That's a good smelling one. Good girl.
and we reward her for that. And then we get her back outside to play. She loves agility.
Look. Last time on your own. Wait. Yes. Good girl. One last time on your own.
All of the obedience training really pays off when we get them into a chaotic environment like the Austin Children's Museum. This was a day to introduce the kids to a lot of different dogs. We happen to be there representing search dogs. There were veterinarians and a number of other people with therapy dogs and things. And it's very hands-on. The girls were wonderful, and of course they get rewarded plenty for that. We also have to train Ruby to do some of our standard demos, like a box search for a piece of hidden evidence, and she's coming along really well. Her alert is to lay down when she finds it, and we keep her little rope toy inside for her to grab and play, and I try to keep it as fun as I can, give her lots of direct attention, physical reward, petting her and tug of war, as well as treats, and she really loves it.
This year's National Night Out followed a high-profile shooting of a black man in East Austin. The ethnic communities around Austin generally don't trust the police department, and when we come with the dogs, we're part of the Austin Police Department, and so I see the dogs as ambassadors, really, to introduce how good the girls can be to an audience that is not very trusting of dogs or of the police department in general. So we bring these sweet faces and we introduce them to the children, we introduce them to the adults, and we generally just have a lot of fun. We bring the truck and do goofy things like decorate our truck so that we can meet the public and introduce the dogs to, well, other dogs. I'm always surprised at the number of police officers that we meet as well. They don't know that we have police dogs that are capable of doing search. But we always take the opportunity to train the girls, introduce them to new smells and new police animals. The interesting thing about this National Night Out was the dancers. There were a lot of these dragon dancers around, and so teaching the girls to not be afraid, teaching them to stay focused on us while all of this was going on was an interesting experience. The funny part of all this going on is the dancers would change shape. This was unbelievable. But Ruby did really well. I was very pleased with her. She was able to focus and really, I think she enjoyed her time. love introducing the kids to the dogs, especially children that are frightened of dogs. This little boy just didn't want to come close, and we coaxed him over and finally got him to give Ruby treats. He seemed delighted with that.
He likes me. He just likes me. He's licking me.
He likes the drawstrings. He grabs the drawstrings on my pajamas all the time. Don't let her do that. She'll pull your pants right down here.
And before you know it, the night's over. We pack up the horses, pack up the dogs, send the helicopter home, and it's great because usually the girls will sleep the entire way home. They just completely shut down. And we had some great Korean takeout that night. We get the girls back home, and it's life as usual. So the girls have the same toys. It's just Willa tends to keep hers a little longer than Ruby does. So occasionally Ruby tries to steal those toys. Yeah, it's life as usual.